Our lesson 2 in economics deals with the sectors of Indian economy. You know that we have 3 basic sectors, that is the primary, secondary and tertiary. Now they have also added a 4th sector. In these sectors that we have in the Indian economy, let us look at some of the fill in the blanks that I have put together here for you, which will help you in learning your objective questions. First, insurance agent, money lender, call center employee all come under which sector? So they will come under the tertiary sector. Do you remember the primary sector deals with all things related to nature, secondary sector is related to all things which are connected with production, and the tertiary sector is also the service sector. So all these are different services which are provided, that is the tertiary sector. Second, the tertiary sector is also called the service sector because they don't produce anything but they provide a service. Third, the prime economic activity of India. Now, what is the main activity in India? You will find that the main activity is agriculture. So that's why we call it a Krishi Pradhan Pradesh. That means the most important thing that is done in India is agriculture. Maximum people are involved in growing crops or fruits, vegetables. So they are basically in the primary sector. Fourth, the employees of the dash sector are normally exploited. Unka shoshan kiya jata hai. So which sector do they belong to? The unorganized sector. That means they don't have a proper payroll or they don't have any letter of appointment. They can lose their job anytime. They may not get proper payment according to Minimum Wages Act. Okay. The fifth one, the GDP or the gross domestic product of India in 2003 was how many crore rupees? So here you have 2,10,000 crore rupees. It sounds like a very nice number, but you know that the per capita income comes down because it gets divided by our huge population. Going on to the sixth one. The NREGA Act provides minimum how many days of employment assurance? That is 100 days out of 365 days when you are giving an assurance, एक आश्वासन देते हैं कि आपको इतना रोजगार हम हमारी तरफ से हम देंगे, and that will be for 100 days. Seventh, agriculture, dairy farming, all this comes under the primary sector. Eighth, Sahara Airlines is an example of private sector. If you remember, Kingfisher Airlines was also private sector belonging to Vijay Mallya, which of course closed down. So that was private sector. The dash sector is the largest employer in India. Now, in India, you'll find that maximum people are in the tertiary sector. And you'll find that a large number of people are in this sector because it provides service. A large number of people are also in the primary, that is agricultural sector. But the agricultural sector does not produce as much as the tertiary sector. 10th, the government owns assets in the public sector. So what is the difference between public and private? Private is owned by a person, that is, it is a personal asset, while here public sector is owned by the government. Dash means a situation where more people are employed than the work potential, that is disguised unemployment. Now, disguised unemployment, you'll find nearly everywhere. 10 people will be working, but there is no potential for 10 people to work. Actually, there is work only for 5 people. And 5 people will just be passing their time, or people will be taking a break because there are more people than necessary. In our country, you'll find, especially in the government offices, there is a lot of disguised unemployment. In agricultural sector also, you find disguised unemployment. More workers and the work is actually less. But just for the sake of giving jobs to people, we have given them jobs, but there is not that much work to be done. 12th, the sectors are classified into private and public on the basis of what exactly? And that is ownership. Who owns these particular sectors? That means if the government owns it, it's known as the public sector. And if a person owns it, it's known as a private sector. The motive of public sector enterprise is, now, unlike private sector, where the private person will naturally have the motive means what is his aim or what is his goal, it will be mainly profit. Unlike that, the government sector or the public sector mainly looks at social welfare and security. तो when it is a private sector, वो अपना पॉकेट या अपना जेब भरेंगे, लेकिन जब गवर्नमेंट होती है वो देखते हैं कि लोगों की भलाई हो. 14th, employment is not secure in the unorganized sector. We also saw that this is the sector that is exploited. Dash is an example of public sector. Now, the best example to give for public sector or which is owned by government is railways. The reason why I have written railways, of course, there are more examples, but in some you'll find that the government also owns some part and the private also. That means it is shared. There was a time when telephones used to be only government sector, but now the private industry has also come in. For example, Reliance, Tata, and you'll find same with the transportation, other transportation, that is buses, etc. But railway has always been a monopoly of the government and it has been the public sector, and there is no railway in private sector. 16th, workers enjoy job security. That means this is just the opposite of this. Here they feel insecure, and where will they feel secure? So workers will enjoy job security in an organized sector. Seventeenth, tertiary sector has become an important part of the Indian economy on account of what? Now, because of what has it become important? Because of the rise in the level of income. More and more people earn more, and that is why the tertiary sector has become more important. 18th, dash is a situation when people are working less than what they are capable of. Now, this is known as underemployment. Underemployment is of two types. Suppose I have done my graduation, my post-graduation, I am able to teach school children, secondary school children or the college going children, and yet I am taking tuitions or I am taking classes for Montessori or nursery, I am teaching the younger ones and not getting paid that much. So that will be called underemployment. The second type is I am willing to work 8 hours a day. That is generally considered as one shift. But I get jobs where I am taken on temporarily or part-time and I have only 2 hours work or 3 hours work for which I don't get paid much. So that will be known as underemployment, means working less than what one is capable of. 19th, the share of tertiary sector in 2003 in terms of GDP. Now, how much was the share of it? It was 50% to 60%. So, you can see a large part of our income comes from the tertiary sector, even though many people are employed in the primary sectors, that is in agriculture. 20th, that is the last one that we will see for this lesson. Dash sector has the largest number of people employed in India, and that is the primary sector. In the world, if you see, maximum people are employed in the tertiary sector. Countries which have more people employed in secondary and tertiary sector are generally the developed countries, and where you find maximum people are in the primary sector. They might be undeveloped or developing countries like India.